Currently, of course, you know him as the Lieutenant Governor of Kashmir, where he spent several years now during the most complex times where the Kashmir Valley has gone through conversion, where we've seen the creation of Ladakh as a union territory, and it's not been an easy job being Lieutenant Governor there, let me point it out that way. But yes, in a different world, he would have thought that he would have been a contender once upon a time to be Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. Now, I want to underline this repeatedly because in more than a decade of covering matters that are related to these high-level decision-making in government, let's be extremely cautious about names that are doing the rounds, because trust me, it's only second guessing. Okay, the government is very careful about keeping its decisions to itself, unlike governments in the past where we would know the entire list of who's getting what by now, until the announcements are made. Whether this be in the like form of who's going to be Chief Minister, as we've seen in Haryana and Rajasthan, whether it be in like form of who's going to be party president of the BJP, in the case of the current change that has happened with the elevation of Nitin Nabin. So let's take all the information with a pinch of salt, but there is some logic to the fact that a cabinet reshuffle, which has not been announced yet. I can tell you that a major bureaucratic reshuffle has taken place 2-3 weeks ago. That's a fact that's happened. Generally, that presages a cabinet reshuffle. I can tell you that Nitish Kumar has become a Rajya Sabha MP. That's a fact that's happened, and he's likely to hope on getting a cabinet berth. Okay, so Nikita, thank you for joining us. My thanks to Sandeep as well. We'll come back. I just want to quickly come back to Sanjay before I come to my guest. So Sanjay, if you can hear us, let's come back to the subject of the decisions making that is taking place. So हमें पता है कि आज तो रिपोर्ट कार्ड मिलेंगी सारी मंत्रियों से. क्या खबर मिल रही है कि कुछ पॉलिसी डिसीजंस, रिफॉर्म डिसीजंस जो आज काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स को ब्रीफिंग दी जा सकती है, कोई आदेश दिए जा सकते हैं?
देखिए, आज की बैठक में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी मंत्रियों के रिपोर्ट कार्ड पढ़ेंगे, साथ ही साथ उनके परफॉर्मेंस पे बात करेंगे. सर, उन्होंने जो सरकार का एजेंडा दिया था, सरकार के मंत्रियों को जो एजेंडा दिया था, उस पर बात करेंगे. किन किन मंत्रियों ने अच्छा काम किया, उनको प्रेज भी करेंगे, उनके कामकाज का प्रेजेंटेशन भी कराएंगे. लेकिन जहाँ तक बात है मंत्रियों के बारे में डिसीजन लेने की, तो डिसीजन लेने की बारी आज नहीं है. डिसीजन लेने की बारी होगी अगले महीने जून के सेकंड वीक का. बताया जा रहा है कि जब मोदी सरकार में बड़ा रिशफल संभावित है, पॉसिबल है, जब का हो सकता है. लेकिन आज की तारीख में आज सबसे बड़ी बैठक जो हो रही है मिनिस्टर ऑफ काउंसिल की, वो इस बात की तैयारी है कि ये कभी भी रिशफल हो सकता है. आप देख सकते हैं लगातार यहाँ पर मंत्रियों के काफिले निकलते हुए जा रहे हैं. अभी केंद्रीय गृह मंत्री अमित शाह जा चुके हैं, रक्षा मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह का काफिला आने वाला है, अभी डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह भी गए. तो एक एक करके कई सारे मंत्री यहाँ से गुजरने लगे, सीधे कर्तव्य पहुँच जा रहे हैं. और ठीक 5 बजे ये बैठक शुरू हो जाएगी, जिसकी अध्यक्षता प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी करेंगे. तो आज की बैठक की सीरियसनेस आप इसी को देख करके अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि मिनिस्टर ऑफ काउंसिल की बैठक जब भी होती है, उसके ठीक बाद प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी अपने कैबिनेट में रिशफल करते हैं. तो ये कैबिनेट रिशफल के पहले की आखिरी बैठक है मिनिस्टर ऑफ काउंसिल के. इसके बाद में नया मिनिस्टर ऑफ काउंसिल गठित हो जाएगा. तो ये बात सभी मंत्रियों को डरा भी रही है, कुछ मंत्रियों को चौंका भी रही है, तो कुछ मंत्री खुश भी हैं कि हो सकता है उनका प्रमोशन भी हो जाए. तो ये कई सारे मंत्रियों को पॉसिबिलिटी भी दे रही है उनके अच्छे कामों के लिए. लेकिन वही कई सारे मंत्री हताश भी हैं, उदास भी हैं कि कई आने वाला जो रिशफल है उसमें उनका पत्ता ना कट जाए. तो ये आज की जो बैठक है काफ़ी महत्वपूर्ण मानी जा रही है.
Okay, so like I said, care, caution, pinch of salt and all of the above to take place. Sanjay, thank you. Let me get my guests into this conversation to have a quick chit chat. Mr. Bhatt joining us on the broadcast. Gautam Mukherjee is also joining us on the broadcast to pick this up. Himanshu Bhatt, let's just, the real substance, as I said, is actually going to be on any decisions which are big ones. The Prime Minister has to brief his cabinet to prepare for a crisis. the real impacts of this crisis have not been felt in India. You and I are okay right now, but no country in the world is going to be immune from the effects. So the real crux is going to happen, but there's a lot of curiosity always about, I don't want to use the word gossipy because it's very high stakes, but there's a lot of curiosity of, who's in, who's out, who's getting a promotion, who's getting a demotion. So since we don't know exactly, I think only a couple of people know, and mostly only one person has it in his mind of what he thinks his assessment is going to be. I want to discuss the format. Okay, let's start with the fact that the cabinet senior positions, number one, have a very high amount of technocrats. I remember 2024 when the elections happened, the assumption was made that TDP and Nitish and a lot of people will demand all these senior portfolios. And in 2024, which was 2 years ago, they got none of them. The external affairs minister remained the same, the MHA remained the same, finance remained the same, all the defense remained the same, all the key portfolios all remained the same. We've had consistency and we've had performance reviews. So this Narendra Modi way of functioning, I don't want to use the corporate style of functioning, but actually calling the ministers for performance review. What do you make of this, of the format that these ministers are actually presenting these reports today, knowing that it's a test, that they can't rely on the fact that they won or their party won some election in Bengal or Bihar or something?
Just elections don't matter, Rishabh. What matters is your 365 days performance in your ministry. And that is that basic report card. Because the task is assigned very, very specifically to all the ministers. Someone is told to do something, someone is told to do other thing. Now, whether they have been able to perform or not, in the general perception will be there. But at the same time, when you take up the entire ministry's report card at the end of the year, which is something, like me going through an appraisal in a print media house, wherein, your bosses will judge you whether you have succeeded in doing it or not. Along with that, couple that with the crisis, present crisis, economic crisis world around due to the wars. And what are we doing? So, I have a very strong feeling. See, it's again, people are making guesswork. This will come, that will come, that. I have a very strong feeling that this meeting is going to be a two-way traffic, not a one-way traffic. As people used to present their report cards and the decision was given. No, it's not going to be that. It is going to be a little more than that, wherein, there will be a candid give and take. That, this present economic crisis, we are going to hit the crisis that everyone understands. And what can we do to wade through this? During the COVID, if you remember, Rishabh, let me tell you something. The first 3 months, there was so many things helter-skelter. And after that, things started happening in a streamlined fashion. And that happened with the core of ministers, getting into the act on a specific directions, on a specific advice. Now, I expect this particular meeting, yes, there will be a cabinet reshuffle, but don't forget that BJP does believe in some auspicious days and auspicious things. So this Adhik Maas is going on, people might laugh at me, but then that's a fact of life. Because this is Adhik going on, there will not be a reshuffle of the ministry till this particular Hindu calendar month is over. And that will be after the second week of June. So the new ministry, whatever comes, the decision might be taken. But whatever takes place will take place only after that. That's one thing. But the most important thing is, after 2024 till 2026, and with this war coming in between, the rate at which we are growing, the efficiency with which we have been functioning is something which needs to be thought about through 10 different minds. And the core of a cabinet of this particular ministry has those 10 minds. So I don't
So
expect,
Himanshu,
one-way
but
travel.
let's just break it down. Okay,
Yeah.
so number one, uh, you think it's unlikely that the political calculus, and this is because past history of Narendra Modi, not only in Gujarat but in the centre now for more than a decade, that the political calculus does not override. I'm not saying it's zero. It does matter. Okay, calculation is done on location, which states are going to elections, which states have done well, who are the new faces that are emerging, and even caste and other calculations are done. So I'm not saying it's zero, but it's technocratic leaning. So expect that professionalization to remain for the next 2 or 3 years. But in the context of running a coalition government, which is what this is, it has been for 12 years, but particularly since 2024. What have we seen in the changes of functioning? Because whether it be the Shiv Sena or I mentioned the TDP, we have not had any larger than life overbearing ministers. They seem to be functioning as part of the same team.
It is a part of the same team, it is a coalition, but there has been a definite understanding. See, it's something like this. Have you heard a noise from Nitish Kumar from the time he gave up the chief ministership of Bihar? Have you heard any remark that, that twist in the tongue, one sentence which Nitish is used to, very famous for,
Yeah.
Nitish Kumar is very famous for. He would say one sentence, and that will create a fire everywhere. That political gimmicking will not happen this time, and that's why I'm saying that, whatever opposition might say, whatever people might say, that this is an NDA government, and which BJP has been calling it an NDA government. So there's no question, and they all work like a single unit. Because people might try to divide it, but then this council of ministers, you will find, the predominantly, the decisions when taken will be done by technocrats and high level, what I call it, efficient ministers.
Okay. So let's come to that. Let's come to that. So this is a cabinet now, okay, that has to deal with a crisis. It's not a crisis of our making, okay, but it's a crisis. We have to accept it. So it is even more important that you have the right people for the job. You need continuity, and there might be some fresh faces. That could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week, it could happen in July. It's happening. Now, exact timeline could be very quickly. Some are saying tomorrow, some are saying July, some are saying wait a few days for a more auspicious time, as Himanshu Bhatt just pointed out. But in a real impact, Himanshu Bhatt, what can we do? Many people have forgotten this, but that just a few months ago, in literally January, February of this year, the NDA government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi finished paying off all the bonds as well as the interest for all the oil bonds bought under the UPA government when oil had hit 130, 140. We literally just finished paying it off well ahead of time, so that the taxpayers' money was not being spent on servicing earlier subventions by government to keep oil prices artificially down. What do we do now? I mean, the problems are not that India is out of money. There's a global oil crisis, there is a fertilizer crisis, there is a transportation and logistics crisis, there is a dollar crisis, and there is a foreign exchange crisis. These crises are real ones. What do we do?
Well, something like this, it's something like this. See, there are few things which Narendra Bhai said in a very simple language to people. Measures of austerity, number one. And number two, people have a tendency to shout.
No, but Himanshu, but the government is being at pains to point out that this is not a call for austerity. People are not being asked to spend less because that in fact would be counterproductive for the economy. They are only being asked to look at two things which are foreign exchange related. Okay, one is going abroad, in which you have to buy dollars and spend money abroad, and the second is buying gold, which anyway has to be imported. So it's not austerity in terms of please don't spend money, be frugal. No, actually go out, spend money, buy things.
Rishabh, I'm putting it differently, a little differently. Let me just give me a minute. It's something like this. if I'm spending $1,200 for every 10 days for my vehicle, four-wheeler, instead of that, if I can do that work by spending $250, by running a scooter, if I can run on a scooter, I'll do that. That is the austerity that they are doing. That is what he's also advocating. And when you talked of oil bond money, after that, if you tell me, out of 195 countries in the world, how many countries have increased just 4% on their oil bill for a common man? Even US has increased more than 7 to 10%. In such a scenario, we have to make sure that we are comfortable with 7 to 10% rise. That is still scope for 3 to 7%. 3 to 7%. Right now, what we are suffering is just 4%. 4% increase, and we are shouting. But if that 4%
but who wants an increase or
10%,
anything?
then we should be
You and I don't want to pay more for petrol and diesel.
Yeah, nobody wants to pay,
does.
but then
It's a time of circumstances. I don't think PM Narendra Modi or the Union Cabinet wants people to be paying more for petrol and diesel. There's a problem. We didn't start the fire, but it's been burning since the world's been turning. So let's discuss scenarios. We can't do much with oil prices. They're a function of global markets. You've seen some relief on the Russia waiver, which Trump is continuing. Thank you very much. What a relief. Wow, what a favor that's been done to all of us. We should all be grateful. But oil prices are still at $100 a barrel. They peaked at 110. The average for last year was 60. So it's still 70% higher, okay? And the prices in India have changed by less than about 5%. So then begs the next question, Imanshu Bhatt, is the dollar and the rupee. I mean, this is where the real problem is. It's a foreign exchange issue primarily, and there's only X we can do about that.
Something like this. It's a double-edged sword, na? Rishabh, if you look at it this way, it's a double-edged sword. People say, hey, a free fall of a rupee, will demolish the economy. I don't think so totally. No, I don't think so. I'm very clear that, the rupee goes down, your exports get a bigger boost. That is also a possibility. See, we are trying to balance it. See, RBI, for a reason, I feel that way, that, for a reason, RBI is not interfering in stabilizing the rupee. They are doing it for a purpose, because they are following a definite fiscal policy, and which they will continue doing so. I don't expect this government, to come out in the market and support rupee so solidly that rupee goes down to 85 or 80 rupees.
No, I think it's the reverse right now. I think they're defending the rupee very aggressively, and I think foreign exchange is being burned for that. And I think the 100 benchmark or 99.9 is a very solid benchmark which the RBI is defending. We're at already at 94, 95. It's a psychological concern. Of course, it's a concern about the larger health of the economy, but this is not happening because the Indian economy is going through some crisis point. It's happening primarily because the globe is withdrawing dollars because the global crisis is being expected. Okay, on your screens, Home Minister Amit Shah has arrived for the meeting. Kiren Rijiju has arrived for the meeting. You can imagine that in this Council of Ministers meeting, which is the first this year, that's going to be taking place over the next several hours. We're expecting this to go on late into the evening. All the senior ministers and other ministers are going to be presenting their report cards, presenting their annual reports on what they have achieved and what the plans ahead are. Each person is being given individual time. There will be conversations that are being taking place. We are being told very reliably that directions are going to be given, especially given the global energy crisis at this point of time, to many of these ministers. It's going to be substantive, it's going to be important, which is why a lot of effort and attention is being paid to this, as opposed to a cabinet meeting, which is a weekly affair. The Union Cabinet meets regularly to take decisions on the running of government. This one is something special. We've been discussing whether this percolates automatically onto a cabinet reshuffle. It probably does. Whether that happens immediately or happens from a few weeks from now, difficult to say. It is expected. The timeline is the only thing that we have left to discuss, and of course, who the paces, if any, new ones will there be, is a point of consideration. What is crucially important, ladies and gentlemen, where we have to put our energy and focus is on what are the directions, missives, as well as the larger sort of arc that the government is now going to take in terms of policy decisions to prepare India for the worst. Hope for the best, get ready for the worst. I want to reiterate that when it comes to the terminology of how we are working, when it comes to the functional aspect, government is not appealing to you and me to go out there and stop spending money. That would be counterproductive for the economy. Yes. That is not the suggestion being made. In the core areas where we are highly relying on or completely relying on imports, which are causing a depletion of our foreign exchange reserves, which are extremely valuable right now, in those 2 or 3 areas, we are being asked to be careful. That is oil and gold. Okay? So, if we use our cards less, little bit reduction in the oil bill for the country will go a long way this year. It's not going to be a sea change, but that's the only place. Nobody is saying don't go to the market, don't buy a TV, don't buy a house, don't buy a car. Please do all of those things. Those are crucial for the Indian economy. And if in gold, which we have to import most of it, India's gold production is negligible, that causes a depletion. The RBI and the government requires a healthy foreign exchange reserve to see out this crisis. We don't want to be in some sort of current account balance of payments crisis. We haven't been in 30 years. It is not really going to happen, but everything we can do. So let's just put some puzzle pieces together as you're watching live visuals outside the new Prime Minister's office, Seva Tirth, in New Delhi, where you can see many of the cabinet ministers have all already arrived. I am expecting that we'll get information of this meeting, which is expected to officially begin in just the next few minutes, and we'll have greater clarity maybe in a few hours from now on what has been discussed and what directions and missives have been taken. So yes, you will get, in the past year we did all of these things. That's the report card part of it. The report card part of it is interesting, it's important, but what's really important is what we will be doing in the next few weeks and months. That, of course, has an immediate and crucial bearing. Let's open up this conversation further. I'm expecting Priya Saigal and Manasvi Thapar to join us on the broadcast as well. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get some information from our reporters who are there on the ground, and Sanjay is there, and Sanjay will be back with us shortly about what time we are expecting this meeting to end. I've been told that this is going to go on late into the evening. It's going to be an extra long Council of Ministers, several hours. Might be 3 or 4 hours, might be more, is the information that is being shared with me. That's interesting, and of course has a bearing on the seriousness with which it's being taken. Dr. Kumar Rakesh with us on the broadcast meanwhile, and as is Rajalakshmi Joshi. Dr. Rakesh, let me get you into this conversation. I just want to get into practice. Government has to do a lot of things. All these ministries have to eventually work together. But when it's coming into crisis management of the worst is yet to come in terms of the food, fertilizer and oil price. We are okay on food, we are a food surplus country, but that food supply is dependent upon fertilizer. A large measure of fertilizer comes from non-renewable resources. It has to be made. That's a problem, and oil is a problem. What can really we do other than hope for the best?
Rishabh, just you very emphatically and detail, just you put your points, and as I'm listening your discussion. So that is whatever our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has done, and just appeal to the nation, to the public of country, on Bharat, how to do, what to do. Actually, some opposition leaders just they only want to criticize, not the perspective way, not positive way. But whatever, just as you mentioned, the fertilizer and food, we are ample of a lot of stocks. But as far as the gas and energy sector, we are going to be dependent on how we should be independent. That's matter of concern for the country and for us, for just like nation of India, Bharat. So how just going through, and as in the last 5 nation tour, as we have seen how the PM was concerned, I want to put a mention, one product, one product, one tweet, millions of likes, and we can understand our one brand melody. We have heard the long ago melody how kuch jaan jao, like that. So one industry, whatever companies there was, but our chocolate, we have already heard the chocolates of the Europe were so famous. Now, with one stroke.
Okay, I'm sure the guys at Parley are very happy with the stock price boost that they've got. We've all been having that chocolate. I won't call it the most exceptional chocolate ever produced in the world.
Whatever, but I'm saying, I'm just pointing out how the market, how we just try to, our PM boost the market of the chocolate in the country, in Indian chocolates. As Indian chocolate not so famous, but we are making so many chocolates. Recently, in Australia,
We make better chocolates than Melody, sir. I think the play was on the name. Yeah, it wasn't on the most important quality. It's a good chocolate. I've been having it since I was a child.
No. I'm not discussing the chocolate.
Yes.
I am discussing the economic front. I'm connecting the business. We are connecting the market. How we are going, how just their branding, how just going to the excel the market. That is not a message.
Okay, but we have to be realistic. I don't want to overplay it. Okay, so let's be realistic. Okay, we have an FTA with Australia, with New Zealand.
Whatever you are discussing the economic way.
Yeah, so let me quantify it. Let me quantify it for viewers. So when we say an FTA has been signed or a trade deal has been reached, you've had one with New Zealand, you've had one with Australia.
Yeah.
You very famously had one with the European Union. Then there is a smaller group of European states with Liechtenstein and others, which we've had one before. We are working on one with the US, which is not completed. So the European Union trade deal, okay, now the European Union trade deal, at the very earliest, it gets ratified in the next 6 months, okay. For the benefits to be felt by our exporters of this deal, it will be a lag time. So we feel the GDP, current account, trade benefits from this in about 18 months at the earliest. So let's be realistic about that.
May I speak now?
Yeah, speak about what, sir? I'm just stating a fact. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm talking about facts only. What you're just going to state, the FTA, the many countries, more than 18 countries, and just talking about recently the New Zealand PM is going on 10th or 11th July to New Zealand, the huge market of agriculture, other products. So how our businesses grow, how business should grow, how our business is growing, how our business should be focused. They have been trying to do the best.
No, it's not about trying. A lot of good work is happening. I'm just tempering it because the benefits of this good work will be felt about 1 year to 18 months from now. Okay, they will help our current account deficit. Okay, and the Americans can play whatever politics they want to play. In fact, the attitude of Donald Trump has actually helped us secure these trade deals because the Europeans have come to the table for the first time in 20 years and done the deal within a few days, which is great news. But the economic benefits in terms of your current account, for your importers to feel the benefits, especially the people working in textiles and others that have been badly hit, will come 18 months from now. The deal, the only deal which is in action right now is the one that has been signed with Liechtenstein and other smaller countries, okay, with which the trade is not huge. So with the European Union in total, expected to be ratified earliest 6 months, benefits 1 year to 18 months, okay. We are dealing with an immediate crisis, and the crisis is food because it is fertilizer, and oil, foreign exchange, dollars, and therefore the price of the rupee. That's the only crisis. There is otherwise power production in India is fine. Our economy has been doing very well. This is the only problem, and that's going to lead to a global GDP push. Rajalakshmi Joshi, at this point of time, just 1 second, sir. At this point of time, what do we do? What other than carry on with what is going on in terms of reform push, in terms of doing the trade agreements, in terms of promoting semiconductors and performance-linked incentives and all these things. What emergency step can be taken? Do we have to come up with subventions? Do we have to go into crisis mode where we have to say, okay, we have to help our exporters, or we have to help the farm sector, or we have to do some emergency procurement of fertilizers? What can we do?
Hello, Rishabh. Yes, the government is definitely taking a lot of very crucial steps. Now, this 5-day visit, even though maybe the opposition was not aware of a lot of things, I think that was very well timed. And in fact, it was to take all of these precautionary measures and maybe a lot of firefighting also, I would say. So it's like in the UAE, even though it was a visit for a few hours, it was about making sure that we have all the reserves. So making sure that we have the reserves for the future and maybe for the immediate future also. And also, we also have to look into the fact that we have a huge diaspora there. So obviously that was very much essential. So and also there was a defense agreement. So all of that was very essential looking at the West Asia conflict. So after that, then you come to the energy reserves. You go to the other countries also, whether it may be Netherlands, Sweden, all these countries, he has been talking about the energy reserves, clean energy, about shipping.
Okay, so since you mention it, breaking information flashing on your screens, we are expecting, and the reports that are suggesting to us that in the context of the West Asia crisis, when it comes to focus on energy, aviation and shipping, that these matters are also going to be discussed today. Some announcements on these matters are expected either today or over the course of the next few days. And this has an immediate bearing because these are the places that's disrupted. Aviation is in trouble. You've had carriers, including ours and Air India, that are cancelling thousands of flights. They are cancelling thousands of flights because aviation turbine fuel, which is a form of kerosene, is just so expensive that it's become prohibitively expensive to carry on these flights. It's happening all over the world. You had a major low-cost carrier in the United States called Spirit Airlines, which a few weeks ago has gone bankrupt, has shut shop. And the last nail in the coffin was the fuel prices. So the aviation industry in distress, shipping industry, of course, in distress, which is the merchant fleet of India. So these are issues, not all of these are in our control, and that is the complicated part. If there was something that we had to deal with, do a comparison of what is happening in Iran versus what happened in Operation Sindoor. Okay? You can do an easy comparison. And all the Donald Trump claimed that he got the deal done, he got the deal done. The irony is that the deal he himself wants to get done, he can't get done. It's been a month and a half. Okay? Operation Sindoor, we met our goals in the first 5 minutes. Then we defended ourselves and hit back. And 3 days it was over. Because obviously, for the sake of the Indian economy, did you want half of India to be a no-fly zone? Did you want blackouts in major cities like Chandigarh, Jammu, Amritsar for months and months? No, you did not. So you can do the comparison that there are different ways of dealing with problems. That was our way of dealing with the problem. It was a very aggressive way. It proved a point. It actually eliminated people and blew up things, including air bases in Pakistan. And then, of course, there is something that has put the world into turmoil. I don't know what's been achieved here, but you and I will all have to deal with the consequences. Let me get Dr. Kumar in. Dr. Kumar, so, we are on the trajectory of all good things. I mean, semiconductors and reforms in highway building, okay, in employment, in food procurement, food growth. We've been at records, highest ever wheat production, highest ever rice production, highest ever vegetable production. Everything has been going very well. But there will be a GDP impact this year because of what oil prices and Donald Trump have done to us. What can we do? The UPA came up with oil bonds. That was their solution. Do we do something similar?
I don't think that the UPA come with the oil bonds. That is a solution. Due to that UPA bonds, we have just faced many problems in the price rises just to control the petrol prices. Last 10 years, last 6 months to 1 year, they are trying to compensate the old scenes by the Congress government. If we analyze the all data and all figures like that, but whatever government is doing, they parallelly, whatever Mr. Trump, US President, trying to make the fake narratives against India, that is not acceptable at any way, as a citizen of country and as a part of the country. And no one accept the wrong narratives and not based on the facts. So we can analyze the whatever we have been doing, our government is doing, whatever they claiming last week, the Hardipuri, we have the story the 4 months. Japan has the much more, and Korea has much more. China has much more. So we have to take the lesson and learn from these countries. Whatever they have done for the best. Crisis is there. This is a global crisis. And Mr. Himanshu just was saying the rate and what is escalation of rate and the just hike in rate is much lesser than any developed country.
So there's one thing now in terms of oil. You can go electric, you can go ethanol. Okay, ethanol has issues. Okay, but as the new cars come out with engines that can handle it, yeah, 5-6 years it can work. Electric can work for you can solar, all of this. Your oil dependency when it comes to the transportation field, I can see an end. It's not coming next year, but I can see an end. 10 years, it can end. Oil dependency cannot end when it comes to plastics. Okay, it cannot end. That's the chemical formulation of how they are made from petrochemicals. It can't end easily when it comes to fertilizer. You can even end it in gas. You can replace your propane, butane with methane. Okay, it is possible to do so. But in certain areas, it's not possible to do so. So oil and gas will be with us for a very long period of time in those fronts. So, but chemicals, petrochemicals, we can see. What do we do, Dr. Kumar, about gold? For people watching the broadcast, India's annual production of gold is just about 1.5 tons. That's the gold we find in India. Put that in comparison with some 700-800 tons that the Chinese produce every year. We don't find gold anymore in India because we've been finding gold in India for thousands of years. Most of our mines are exhausted. But we love buying gold. What do we do, sir?
A very interesting question, Rishabh. Very interesting question for those of the Indian minds and the Bharatiya Dimag, whatever they are thinking, whatever just the affection about the gold. How just your storage the gold, buying and just storage the designs and all. And it is reality. This is a facts. We are importing more and producing less. If you are importing more, the taxes will be, obviously, it will escalate in all things. That's why PM appeal to but don't buy gold for the sake of the country, because the import duty was much higher. They have to pay it by the government and by the country. That's why he appealed to the public. This is a point. That you also mentioned, and PM also mentioned, very interesting point for the development, for the sake of the development of the nation. But I think most of the person don't know about the facts of the gold and how the gold is importing either from South Africa and other American other countries. So that the taxes and import duty is so higher.
Okay. So breaking developments coming in. Prime Minister Modi has arrived for the Council of Ministers meeting, which of course on his arrival will then begin. We are being covering this because it's a big one. This is every minister, not a few of them, not a routine meeting. This is every minister that is there. This is every minister presenting a report card. You and I are not giving the report cards. They are giving their self-assessment for their boss, the Prime Minister, to judge and advise on. And I'm being told that this will go on for several hours. It's going to be a marathon meeting, which is how seriously it's being taken, that the Prime Minister will be sitting with the entire Council of Ministers, all of them, for several hours together. And they'll be taking a stock of what all they've done, and they'll be taking a stock of what all needs to be done given the immediate issues that we are facing. And the issues, ladies and gentlemen, I want to be very clear on what are they. We are not in a zone making a call for austerity. No one is saying that, let alone government. This is not the time for you to cut back on spending. Be sensible in spending always. But if you have to buy a house, buy a car, buy a new microwave, buy a fridge, go for it. That's what the economy needs. It's the stuff that we have a problem where it causes a foreign exchange drain, and oil is a problem right now. gold is a problem. These are the places where we have to be careful on, not anywhere else. So this is not a call for austerity. At the same time, we have to see what government can do. Now, they can do some things to alleviate the crisis. They can say, tell the Emiratis that you can store your oil in India because your storage facilities are damaged. So you can transport it here, store it here, we'll process it, and you can resell or further sell from our petrochemical refineries. That's a possibility we worked out. The Russian oil waiver from Washington is continuing. That helps a little bit. Oil prices are stuck at about 100. You would want them to come back below 70 to be comfortable. So we are in trouble. The real shock of this is going to be lagging. It's going to be hitting us shortly in a few months from now. And let's put that things in perspective. Let's open this up. Joyita Basu joining us. I can see Manasvi on the broadcast as with us. Joyita, let me come to you quickly. So, Council of Ministers meeting, I'm going to discuss the form of it first and then let's come into the substance. Okay, all the union ministers gather front of their boss, the Prime Minister, to present a report card and a plan of action for several hours. Many places this would just be a pro forma that they're going through this exercise. I expect that this is not a pro forma. This is a very serious business meeting and literally careers are at stake.
I think it is primarily about right now, it is about what is being done to basically handle this crisis.
Yep.
Because right now what we are going through, I mean, I would say it is, we are facing an unprecedented crisis if this oil situation is not resolved shortly, because we are looking at 44% of our oil supply to our country blocked right now. I think last heard around 44 ships are in the Gulf. So the thing is, the situation is so bad. A lot depends on whether Mr. Trump and Iran are able to strike a deal. There was some buzz yesterday that they have reached the final stages of the deal, but then the problem is that Iran is asking wants to collect toll from Strait of Hormuz, which is totally goes against all international laws. So until and unless this situation is taken care of, things are bad. I mean, we are looking at a very, I would say, stark and bleak, maybe inside the next 2 or 3 weeks, bleak future.
No. The world is in trouble, and Donald Trump has taken us there. There's no denying it. Okay, the US stock markets keep going up. So there are two things that are happening competitively in the world. Okay, you have an economic shock which has been engendered by the war on Iran, and you have economic spending which is happening in stupendous amounts, hundreds of billions of dollars, which are being pumped into chips and semiconductors and AI data centers. Okay. Now, the AI data centers will have to develop stupendous returns in the next 6 months, which is unlikely to happen. So, at some point of time, that bubble bursts also. So, if the AI bubble were to burst now in the middle of an oil shock, we are all in global recession. And there is nothing protecting India from it. Okay, we are a larger economy, so we are not in a situation where we have to shut shop like what happened in Sri Lanka and what's happening in other places. That's not going to happen. But GDP growth slows. We all feel the pain, and we are stuck. There's no escaping it. And there's X that we can do. General Sudhakarji joining us on the broadcast. Mitali is with us as well. General Sudhakar, let me come to you. We are about almost 2 months in. Okay, I was drawing the comparison. If you look what happened in Operation Sindoor, which was also an aggressive action in which our objectives were met in 5 minutes and the retaliation and whatever else had to be done was over in 3 days. And then President Donald Trump came and told us that he was responsible for the deal. The irony, of course, being that the deal that he wants in Iran, he is not claiming responsibility for it just yet. So we are stuck. Let us say that at this point of time, what is then the best case scenario? Do we now expect this to end, or do we expect this to go on for weeks and weeks?
Good afternoon, Rishabh. Thank you for taking me for your show. I hope I am audible. Yes.
Yes.
My very warm greetings to distinguished co-panelists. Well, certainly, it is desirable that this mindless conflict in West Asia must come to an immediate end, because that is not going to happen. That is what we desire. So the realism is Donald Trump has got some hidden agenda. He will let it carry on so that he ensures control and supply. He exercises his mandate of controlling and supply of oil in the global market, make all countries dependent on America. Just be mindful of the fact that the European countries whose dependency was 28% or low or less prior to 28th of February has suddenly jumped to 58% in just about 2.5 to 3 months. I'm prepared to correct myself if I'm going wrong in my open source study. So what am I trying to indicate? That Joyita has taken us to say the duration of the stock that we are supposed to have. Let me break it down. Every day, India requires something to the tune of 57 lakhs 0.7 or say 5.7 million barrels of crude oil every day. That is the daily requirement. Out of this, we get about 50% through the Strait of Hormuz. That's around 2.7 million barrels per day, which is actually been held up. It's only bits and tricklets it's coming out. But so this becomes the comparative matrix. And let me also share, much against what I had been assured during my uniform days, we have been taught, I was dealing myself at a strategic level, that country was maintaining something to the tune of 60 days, 60 days of reserve. So you multiply those many barrels with 60 days. Unfortunately, I have just been told by General Astana in one of his international seminars that stock is not correct. The stock is actually coming to 9.9 days. So that's a very alarming figure. I don't want to raise an alarm.
I don't know, because there is a strategic reserve which is different than the strategic reserve you have to keep in case the country goes to war. So that you can't touch. You can't deploy it, or very rarely deploy it. India did not have an oil reserve a few years ago. Okay.
So anyway, just allow me two more points.
If you finish your thought. Yes, finish your thought. Yes.
Oh, okay. So basically, what I'm saying is the government has actually come out with a very well thought through proposal, and call it by any name, Rishabh, because at the moment the situation is getting out of hand. It's absolutely critical. Call it austerity or call it by some other name. We have to tighten our belt as regards the oil consumption is concerned. And the second thing is now that you touched upon the AI, the helium gas actually is produced in the world at two places, Qatar and USA. USA is the largest producer. Without helium gas, your data center cannot come up. Your GPU, the graphic processing unit, they will never be functional. Your what do you call that? Global capability centers will stop functioning.
Yes.
So all these things, the cooling process of data centers is actually the central requirement is helium gas. Leave alone though the semiconductors and other things, AI and other things. So basically, what I'm coming to that we need to tighten our belt.
Okay, all right. Just hold your thoughts. So let me get Mithali. Mithali, help make sense of this. Okay, we know that high oil prices are bad news. Okay, it's not good news. We know it's bad news. We know that they ain't coming down tomorrow or day after. It's been 1.5 months. So what I can't understand is, how is it that despite the fact that we've had this economic shock, global trade disruption, fertilizer, oil, helium, all the things that General Sudhakar just mentioned, despite all of that, if we look at the US economy, the Dow Jones is at record highs. It just keeps going higher and higher. How does this make sense? Because it seems like there is no crisis.
So in fact, Rishabh, I really want to say that this entire crisis is benefiting one corporation and one country in an outsized manner when you compare it to the rest of the world. The Trump Corporation has really benefited from the rejigging of all established supply chains. See, think about it. When President Trump came into power, what is the first thing he tried to do? He brought in this entire illegal tariff. He imposed it on the whole world and told everyone, now you compete with each other to get the best deal that you can from me, not from the US, from me. And all the countries came forward. There were certain deals that were signed, and then those entire tariffs were held to be illegal. Then you go in and you completely reset all the oil supply chains right after you've had the invasion of a country like Venezuela, whether we want to call it invasion or we want to call it extraction of an illegal dictator, whatever, right? But Venezuela, now the oil is under the control of American corporations. So America is gaining as an oil supplier as the prices
No, but
of
the
oil
Americans,
go up.
I mean, the
in
Americans
global market.
aren't in it for you and me. They're in it for themselves. And Donald Trump is in it for himself and as for his country, or how he sees his country is done. I'm trying to understand, is there a global economic problem? Because if I just look at the stock markets in the United States, they are telling me no, everything is great.
The stock market sentiment is totally divorced from the sentiment of the global south. And today, that's what we are seeing, Rishabh. We are seeing two different worlds which are, going apart. The real economy in the global south, which was doing so well, which was growing in countries like India, but not only India, all over the
Okay,
global
Mitali, stick your
south,
neck out.
has been
How bad
standing.
is it going to really be? Okay, because we've only felt a pinch so far. The oil price is just a pinch. Okay. Is it going to get really bad? Are we seeing multiple points of GDP growth hit this year?
We are seeing multiple points of GDP growth hit because we have AI, which is impacting our tech services sector, which is one of the biggest sources of forex income for India. It is, impacting our export economy completely because you have MSMEs in the textile space and food processing, etc., which were first hit by tariffs and are now being hit by these global uncertainties.
Yeah.
And, we are being hit from many angles. But I want to say, that the Prime Minister himself having all these trade deals, nearly 39 foreign trade agreements in the last 6 months, is one of the best solutions that we
No.
could
So
have
that
had
I'm grateful.
to these
That I'm grateful has happened.
situations.
But yes, the benefits of that come 1 year to 18 months from now. Okay. So the current account, trade, balance of payments, GDP for exporters, all those benefits will kick in about a year from now. So it is from now to that 1 year that we have to worry about. Let me quickly get Manasvi. And Manasvi, it is surreal almost. This has been going on. We've all moved on, and we are watching now films and cinema and treating this like it's like the Ukraine war. It's just happening because the real pain has only just begun. Now, do you suspect it gets much worse from here, or should we just plan for the worst and hope for the best?
I think it is just about catching up with the realization part of it. Petrol, the oil prices have already spiked 110, 120 liters is something which is very much possible. There is a diesel hike, CNG hike, auto fare hike is going around because of the oil price spike. LPG prices are on its rise, 1,000 plus per cylinder, and that is going to directly hit the kitchen budget. Inflation spikes have happened. Food prices have gone up by 8 to 10%. Dal, oil, vegetable, all have been affected. Rupee is weakening. Imports costs have become higher for us, be it in electronics, foreign trips, or educational trips. Everything has been a greater burden for every upper middle class, even laborers who are traveling. That is going to be a big hit for us, and there is a fiscal deficit which is widening. The government is currently with this freebie, rebdi culture which has been adopted by BJP also. The government is giving so many subsidies, so many freebies. There is so many yojanas to make sure the women voters or the young unemployed educated voters are being taken care of. And so all this thing is going to be a good hit for our GDP, and then the kind of expenditure which we are supposed to spend on infrastructure, on health and education is not happening. So I think it's a difficult situation where we are in, and this council meeting is the first council meeting of 2026. In the past, we have seen whenever there has been a council, all council of ministers meeting, there has been a reshuffle, be it in 2014,
yes.
Twice, be it 2016, and then during the COVID time, it was a review meeting. But later, again, the meeting happened wherein Harshvardhan was removed and the education minister was removed because of performance. This is a great opportunity for new ministers who could be inducted. But I think these are not very strong points. What we know as of now is something which we don't know. Only the Sarkar is having that privy information of where we currently stand.
Okay. Just hold a thought. Joyita, do we need emergency measures? Okay. I mean, do we have to assume And I'm assuming that the tenor that has been struck by the Prime Minister, no way would you have gone out and said that, listen, we need to work from home, stop buying gold, everyone, in a country where we can't stop buying gold. He's thought that through. So again, I'm reiterating, there's no austerity call from the government. They're not saying don't go buy your scooty or or e-bike, or don't go shopping, or don't go out to eat, don't watch a movie. No, please do that. Two things, oil and gold, be careful about. But obviously, they're aware inside that we are managing the storm right now, but we have to prepare for the worst. I mean, does it seem like this is a meeting that is going to come up with emergency measures?
Yes, I think that possibility is very much there. And I do not expect an announcement by tomorrow that these are the things that we are talking about. I mean, we have to take, but yes, I think we are actually, if you look at the way Prime Minister has been talking about, it's sad that perhaps the industry and everybody, they have not really taken him that seriously as yet, but perhaps this meeting and whatever announcement comes out of it, if not tonight, tomorrow, day after, or next week, whatever decisions are taken, let's hope the people of the country, particularly the industry, industrial bodies and all, they take it seriously. But
are we just hoping too much? Because like I said, every time
I think they are planning something. Obviously, there is some kind of a plan.
But what can, I mean, like I said, the UPA's plan was what? It was oil bonds, okay? That we'll make the future pay for the current crisis. We literally just finished paying those oil bonds.
Right
okay?
now we need supply. I mean, forget about the bonds. We need supply.
It is not about the price. Where is it going to come from?
Exactly. I mean, oil bonds come later, provided there is supply. The supply is your 40% oil is stuck. How do you get that out? They have to use their offices, because Iran cannot be trusted. They are shooting at even our ships. I mean, they are talking about, how we are great friends and all.
Then there's a blockade of the blockade, but then
yes.
Iran is shooting at UAE. You are getting the oil and gas from the UAE and from them. Eventually, it's a quagmire. You have to keep dancing and tippy-toeing in one way or the other. But what else can we do? What can you do other than not tighten belts here? What is the option? What emergency measures can we come up with?
Well, in terms of emergency options, in terms people will have to, movement of goods, for example, that will take a hit. The logistics part of it, that is going to take a hit. But then can India afford to have a hit in the logistics sector? So, I think immediate what is going to happen is that urban movement, in fact, if you have noticed, it has already come down to a certain extent. Urban movement, that will have to, I mean, they cannot compromise with, for example, cooking gas. So, that will have to come, cooking gas, the piped gas, but I think there will be some push towards electrification of the domestic situation, domestic cooking fuel. Okay. That I think will go for.
So, Mithali, I mean, I'm assuming that for the first few weeks, we have also hoped that this was a temporary action. It would stop and we would be back to normal, because anybody sensible in the world would have said this is untenable. Right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants this, but unfortunately, sense and sensibility is not the call in Washington right now. So now it's been 1.5 months. Okay, I'm assuming we have to make a plan that, okay, if this goes on for 1 month, what can we do? If it goes on for 3 months, there's a potential it goes on all year. If it goes on all year, is it inevitable that a fuel shortage is going to happen? Inevitable that the pumps eventually run dry?
So I think, Rishabh, this is an opportunity, in my opinion, to plan for a future of this country which is energy sufficient, self-sufficient, right? And we have been talking about it on your show. There are 2 or 3 pillars of the economy that are impacted, right? The first one is your power supply, electricity. There, we really need an expansion of solar facilities. And we have the technology. We also have the schemes. We have a rooftop solar scheme, for example. In order to expedite the rollout of it, I have been speaking to industries. Maybe they need some bridge capital. That bridge capital is something this country can make available. The central government can make available, right? So we have that one area of razor sharp focus. Let's go into it. The second is on public transport, electric vehicles, as well as the bus transport.
in order to actually have those rollouts, city authorities need to be empowered. We've been speaking to public transport authorities, we've been speaking to bus corporations. They are struggling with compressed budgets, right? They have, massive losses. Here is again where, through financial infusion, the central government can directly put in money through the PM e-bus seva scheme and expand the, fleet of e-buses that are available, so that you at least give people the options that, okay, you can go for it and you can actually switch to public transport. And the third is on looking at livelihoods, agriculture, the entire logistics side. Even for this, again, helping MSMEs, helping startups, giving them some bridge capital. So I feel like for the next 3 to 6 months, if these three agendas can also be brought front and center, plus the social safety
Mithali,
net.
are we weeks away from needing an economic stimulus just to keep things going? You mentioned tariffs has still not resolved. Sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off, sometimes they're illegal, sometimes they're back to legal. Now this, is it inevitable that a crisis created elsewhere and we are going to have to do some serious intervention, not just surgery?
No, we will need a package of measures. And, if you remember during COVID also, we had an emergency package first, and then it was extended to, deeper and deeper ways of actually supporting different parts of the economy. And I think here, the way that package has to be tailored is a little bit different. As I said, the first focus has to be on renewable energy and public transport and MSMEs, startups, to give them relief, plus a basic, support social protection package for the marginalized groups.
Yeah, you can push it. Yes, you can push it. Just like the trade deals, okay, that's an opportunity in a crisis.
Exactly.
So rapid electrification, rapid gasification, these are opportunities you can make in a crisis, but they are going to, again, the lead times are going to be 1, 2 or 3 years. Intervention is going to be required. Meanwhile, breaking developments coming in. I've just been told that in addition to whatever may or may not happen in the cabinet, it might happen today. A cabinet reshuffle is coming. It might happen today. It might happen next month. It's coming for sure. We're also being told that fresh faces are expected in the organizational structure of the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is expected to be announced shortly. The details that we've been given is that names have been taken from all the BJP chief ministers of recommendations of people who should be office bearers at the center. Several names have been taken from all over the country and are being vetted. Now, who these people are, what roles they will be performing is still to be known. So, a lot of developments happening even within the BJP are expected. This is, of course, coming in the immediate backdrop of a new BJP president that took over a few weeks ago in the like and form of Nitin Nabeen. Let me get Manasvi in before I take a last word from Joyita. I need to take a break after that. Manasvi, there is a reason that certain sections of the Congress party feel that, okay, no problem, Narendra Modi keeps winning everything, we'll just wait him out, we've got age on our side. At the same time, you have the BJP very aggressively. I can tell you lots of heartbreaks have happened for senior leaders in the BJP who spent decades hoping that some plump portfolio is coming their way, only to be superseded by somebody younger. What do you make of this generational shift from one side of politics to the other?
I think one thing is that BJP is in advanced political understanding of our country, while other political parties, predominantly the Congress, is not. Wherein BJP is okay with other corrupt party members coming to BJP and then they become ministers and everything. They are okay with it. But what is more interesting is they have given them space. They have given them that momentum. And the other political parties, the opposition political parties, can't catch up with that kind of a momentum once a leader leaves their political faction and they join BJP, and then there is no way the opposition political parties, predominantly the Congress, is returning back. I don't see there is any kind of a returning churning which is happening in Congress, while Cockroach Janata Party, a meme to movement on internet can take up space, but while Congress, which is a grand old party, is not able to catch up with the pulse of our nation. So I think that is somewhere BJP keeps us busy. BJP keeps us calling us back on debates. They do Council of Ministers. In the past, we have seen the Council of Ministers meetings have resulted into reshuffling, dropping of very famous faces, very important faces as per the BJP cadre, and new faces have been accommodated. And this is what has happened in multiple 11 meetings of BJP since 2014.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a new thing. I think that is something BJP has mastered, this art of secrecy. We may not know the new names, we may speculate it, but this is what BJP does, keeps everyone.
Yeah, I can tell you, 15 years ago, we would have already known the entire cabinet by now. Because the cabinet ministers themselves would have been happy to share, because they would have been assured, and they would be first of the hustings. Let me get Joyita into this. On the specific part of the BJP internally now restructuring itself as well. You'd think that restructuring works, that there is a leader, then the number 2 leader, number 3 leader, and they just keep going down that chain. This is kind of skip generations and plan for something else. What are they planning for? When they say future, what are they planning for?
Well, obviously, they are looking for a younger leadership. You know, I mean, when it comes to, because they are talking about generational changes. Your country, it is not just that your country is getting younger. I mean, the more and more young people are joining mainstream and politics and all. They are the voters of the future. So, BJP will have to look at people who can connect with the voter of tomorrow. If not, I mean, some of them are today, of course, yes, and I agree with Manaswi when he is talking about the cockroach Janta Party or something like that has started. It seems to have suddenly captured the emotion, I mean, imagination of this.
Okay, it's not a serious political party.
Yeah, it is not.
But yeah, it is something that people are saying, you know, sticking a finger to the establishment kind of logic.
Yeah, something like that, and it's a different matter that apparently 50% of that they are following is from Pakistan and all these things.
Yeah, so well, it's not serious, but yeah, but yes.
Yeah, but I do feel, I don't see a Nepal-like situation happening in India. I mean, that's too ridiculous a thought to even, but yes, at the same time, you know, the opposition also, I agree, is not being able to tap that different kind of, maybe the dissatisfaction of a particular section of the people, but at the same time the BJP needs to understand what these people are thinking. So, you need young people over there, obviously. Okay. People who can talk their language, who can connect with them.
A lot is happening, a lot is expected. We are in limbo right now because the Prime Minister of the country is holding a rare Council of Ministers meeting where every single senior, junior minister is present. The subtext and purpose of this meeting, primarily, we've been given to understand, is to come up with a set of measures, clarity and coordination on preparing for the worst in case the global oil crisis does not resolve itself. This is what they're discussing, and we are expecting some concrete policy and practice decisions to come out of this. It's going to be a marathon meeting that's going to go on for several hours. Now, that's the important part for you and me in the country, what they decide, what they intend to do. The subtext of their report cards for the ministers of what they have done in the past year is also important, but not as much. There is a lot of curiosity, of course, because every time generally this meeting happens, very shortly after a cabinet reshuffle takes place. A cabinet reshuffle is expected to take place. Could be hours from now, could be days from now. We just don't know that yet, but it is expected to take place. This is where we are. I'm going to take a very short break. We're going to keep on tracking this more so once we actually have some update on what has been discussed and what conclusions have been drawn for this meeting. Watch out for that. Back in a minute.